Hello and welcome to the Sacred Truth channel. Today I want to take you into a deep reflection. A reflection that can completely change the way you see value, discernment, and especially the way you position yourself in relation to people and situations in your life. Because the phrase we are going to explore today is not just symbolic. It is direct, strong, and for many, even uncomfortable. Why did Jesus say, "Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor throw your pearls before pigs"? Before we continue, I want to ask you something important. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell, because this kind of content is not just to be watched. It is to awaken. And as you listen, I want you not only to hear, but to observe yourself, because there is a strong chance that this message is speaking directly to areas of your life that you still haven't noticed. This statement from Jesus was not said by accident. It carries a level of depth that goes far beyond a simple metaphor. At first glance, it may even seem harsh, even confusing. Why would Jesus use terms like dogs and pigs? Why would he talk about something holy being given in the wrong way? But when you start looking more closely, you realize he is not speaking about animals literally. He is speaking about discernment, about value, about positioning. And here is the first point you need to deeply understand. Not everyone has the ability to recognize the value of what you carry. This is serious, because many times you give away precious things, your attention, your time, your feelings, your energy, your trust, even what God has placed inside you, to people who simply do not know how to handle it. People who do not value it, who do not respect it, who do not understand it. And the result is almost always the same: frustration. But notice something important. The problem is not only with people, it is also in the way you distribute what is valuable. Jesus was not telling you to hate anyone, reject people, or place yourself above others. He was teaching something much deeper. You need to learn how to discern where, when, and to whom you give what is precious, because there is a huge difference between helping and exposing yourself unnecessarily. There is a difference between loving and devaluing yourself. There is a difference between being generous and being naive, and many people confuse this. They think being good means giving everything to everyone, all the time, without filter, without limits, without perception. But Jesus is showing exactly the opposite. There is something that is holy. There is something that is precious, and it should not be treated carelessly. Now let's go even deeper. When Jesus talks about what is holy, he is referring to what has spiritual, emotional, and internal value. It can be your faith. It can be your intimacy with God. It can be your vision, your dreams, your principles, what you believe in. It can even be what you share most deeply with someone. And when he speaks of pearls, this represents something rare, something valuable, something uncommon, something that cannot be easily replaced. And here is the point that changes everything. If something is rare, it should not be given in a common way. But what happens in practice? Many people are giving their pearls anywhere. They share their plans with people who do not support them. They reveal their intimacy to those who lack maturity. They open their hearts to people who have no emotional responsibility. They trust those who have not shown character, and then they wonder why they were hurt, why they were devalued, why they were betrayed. And here is the truth few want to accept. Not all pain comes from malice, some comes from lack of discernment. Because when you give something valuable to someone who does not recognize value, it loses its meaning. And Jesus knew that. That is why he gives the warning. Now let's talk about the most confronting part of the phrase, dogs and pigs. This is not about insulting people. It is about describing behavior. In the culture of that time, dogs and pigs were seen as animals that had no sensitivity for sacred things. They could not distinguish value. If you placed something precious before them, they would not recognize it. They would treat it as something common or even despise it. And that is exactly what happens with some people today. Not necessarily because they are evil, but because they do not have maturity, awareness, or structure to handle what you are offering. And here is an extremely important point. It is not your responsibility to make someone value what they are not ready to understand. You cannot force someone to recognize your worth. You cannot convince someone to respect you. You cannot teach someone to value what they do not yet comprehend. And trying to do that will only drain you. It will only exhaust you. It will only frustrate you. But there is still something deeper in this phrase, something many ignore. Jesus is not just saying do not give, he is saying protect. Protect what is holy. Protect what is valuable. Protect what God has placed inside you. Because if you do not protect it, someone may devalue it. And when something is constantly devalued, you begin to doubt your own worth. And that is dangerous, because the problem stops being external and becomes internal. You start questioning yourself, diminishing yourself, accepting less than you deserve, all because at some point you gave your pearls to the wrong place. But maybe now you are starting to realize something important. This phrase is not about judgment. It is about wisdom. It is not about rejecting people. It is about choosing where you position yourself wisely. It is not about closing your heart. It is about opening it with discernment. And that completely changes the way you live. Because when you understand this, you stop exposing yourself unnecessarily. You stop draining yourself trying to prove your worth. You stop insisting where there is no recognition, and you start living with more awareness, with more clarity, with more positioning. But there is still something deeper we need to explore. Because up to here we talked about protecting what is valuable. But we have not yet talked about why so many people ignore this principle and continue giving everything, even after being hurt. And that has a much deeper root than it seems. But before we continue, I want you to do something simple. Comment below, I need discernment, because understanding this can completely change your life. Because there is something many people completely ignore. Spiritual discernment is not born ready. It is formed through experience, through observation, and often through pain. And this completely changes the way you should look at everything you have already lived. Because maybe today you have more perception, not because you studied more, but because you suffered more. Not because someone taught you, but because life showed you. And this is important to understand, because every situation in which you were misunderstood, devalued, or even hurt while giving something genuine was not just loss, it was formation. And here is the point you need to deeply absorb. God does not only want to protect you, He wants to teach you how to protect yourself. Because protection without awareness cannot be sustained. You may be spared once, twice, but if you do not develop discernment, you will keep placing yourself in the same places, with the same people, repeating the same patterns. And that is exactly why Jesus' words do not come as an external rule. They come as an internal principle, a principle that must be activated within you. Now calmly think about something very real. Why is it so hard, even after everything, to stop giving too much? Why, even after realizing you were not valued, do you still feel the urge to try again, to explain once more, to give another chance, to believe that this time it will be different? And here is the answer few have the courage to face. Because many times you become more attached to expectation than to reality. You are not dealing with who the person really is. You are dealing with who you wish they were. And this creates an extremely dangerous illusion. Because you begin to ignore clear signs in the name of a possibility that only exists in your mind. You start justifying behaviors, minimizing attitudes, making excuses for what, deep down, has already shown you who the person is. And while you live in this expectation, you keep giving your pearls. But here is a truth that can set you free once and for all. People show who they are through repetition, not a single mistake, not a specific moment. It is the pattern. And when you learn to look at patterns, you begin to see clearly. Now let's go even deeper. There is another level to Jesus. Words that almost no one talks about. It is not just about protecting what is holy, but about recognizing the right time to reveal it. Because not everything that is true needs to be said immediately. Not everything inside you needs to be shared at the beginning. There is a time of silence, a time of observation, a time of building. And this is extremely spiritual. Because what is deep is not meant to be exposed in just any environment. It is meant to be revealed in the right place, at the right time, with the right people. And when you break this process, you expose something that is not yet protected enough. And that creates damage. Now here is something that will completely change your mindset. Maturity is not just knowing what to say, it is knowing what not to say. Because many times the problem is not lack of truth, it is excess exposure. You talk too much, you open up too much, you explain too much, you give too much, before you have enough foundation to support it. And that makes you vulnerable. But when you develop discernment, you start filtering. You begin to realize that not every environment deserves your full transparency, that not every person has access to your depth, that not every conversation needs to reach your inner world. And this is not coldness, it is wisdom. Now let's touch on something extremely important. Many people confuse love with full access. They think that to love someone they must give everything, show everything, allow everything. But that is not love. That is lack of boundaries. Because healthy love respects process, respects growth, respects trust levels. Jesus loved everyone, but he did not give himself to everyone in the same way. And that is powerful, because it shows that loving does not mean exposing yourself without discernment. It means positioning yourself with wisdom. And that is exactly what he is teaching in this phrase. Now maybe you are starting to notice something very important within yourself. Maybe you are remembering situations where you talked too much, trusted too quickly, opened up too early, and later had to deal with the consequences. And this is not meant to create guilt, but awareness. Because awareness changes behavior, and behavior changes outcomes. But now comes an even deeper point, perhaps the most necessary of all. You must accept that not everyone will have access to your best version. And that is freeing, because you stop trying to be understood by everyone. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop trying to fit into every environment. And you start living in a more aligned way, more authentic, more strategic. Because when you understand your value, you do not distribute your essence randomly. You select, you filter, you observe, and this does not push you away from the right people. It brings you closer to them, because the right people recognize value, respect boundaries, honor depth, and when that happens, you do not need to force anything. It flows. Now keep this carefully in mind. You were not called to be accepted by everyone, but to be aligned with what is right, and that alignment requires decisions, requires cuts, requires positioning, because continuing to give what is holy to those who do not value it is not love, it is self-abandonment. And that must stop, because in the end, It is not about who did not value you. It is about you learning not to devalue yourself anymore. And when that happens, everything changes. Here is the truth you must face with maturity. As long as you do not change, how you position yourself, nothing around you truly changes. You may change environments. You may change people. You may start something new. But if the internal pattern remains the same, the result will repeat. Because it is not just about who is around you, it is about how you position yourself within it. And that changes everything. Now let's go even deeper. Because there is something very important that few people have the courage to admit. Many times you know you should stop, but you continue anyway. You know you should not open up so much, but you do. You know you should not insist, but you insist. You know you have already seen enough signs, but you choose to ignore them. And why? Because there is an internal conflict between what you perceive and what you desire. You see reality, but you want a different outcome, and this conflict traps you. Keeps you in situations that should already be over. Makes you give one more chance, one more explanation, one more attempt, even when deep down you already know. And here is the point that can completely change your life. Maturity is when you start respecting what you have already perceived, without needing more proof, without needing more pain, without needing to reach your limit. Because many people only stop when they are already exhausted, when they have already been hurt too much, when they have already lost too much. But it does not have to be that way. You can learn to stop earlier. You can learn to recognize enough. And that is emotional and spiritual intelligence. Now keep this carefully in mind. Not every ending needs long explanations. Sometimes silence is enough. You do not need to justify everything. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to enter unnecessary debates trying to prove your point. Because when you start over-explaining, it is often a sign you are still trying to be accepted by someone who has already shown they do not value you, and that weakens you. But when you position yourself clearly, even in silence, you become stronger. Now let's go even deeper. There is a difference between being accessible and being too available. Being accessible is healthy. It is human. It is necessary. But being too available, without criteria, without limits, without filters, puts you in a constant state of exhaustion because you start being present in everything, for everyone, all the time. And that drains you, exhausts you, confuses you, and slowly disconnects you from yourself. And here is the problem. When you disconnect from yourself, you lose reference, lose clarity, lose direction. And when that happens, any environment seems acceptable. Any person seems enough. Any connection seems valid. And that is when you begin to lose yourself. But when you are aligned with yourself, when you know yourself, respect your limits and understand your value, something changes completely. You begin to perceive faster, decide faster, leave faster from what is not good for you. And this is not coldness. It is awareness. Now let's reach one of the most important points of all, learning to say no. Because in the end, everything comes down to this: saying no to what does not respect you, saying no to what does not value you, saying no to what is not aligned with what you carry. And this sounds simple, but it is not. Because no often comes with guilt, fear, and doubt. Fear of losing, fear of being alone, fear of overreacting. But here is the truth: saying yes to everything comes at a cost. It costs your peace. It costs your energy. It costs your clarity. It costs your identity. And there comes a point where you must choose what matters more: other people's approval or your internal alignment. And that choice defines everything. Now, maybe you are realizing that Jesus' words go far beyond a simple instruction. They are protection for your purpose. Because everything you carry, your essence, your values, your vision, your sensitivity, your faith are pearls. And pearls are not common. They are not given everywhere. They are not placed anywhere. They are rare. And what is rare must be protected. Now think deeply. How many times have you treated something precious as if it were ordinary? How many times have you placed yourself in situations that were not worthy of what you carry? How many times have you stayed where you already knew you should leave? And this is not to condemn you. It is to awaken you. Because as long as you do not recognize this, you keep repeating it. But when you recognize it, you change. And change starts with a decision. Now we reach the final point. After all of this, it is no longer about theory. It is about practice. It is about what you will do from now on. You can hear all of this, agree, even feel the need to change, and still do nothing, and that does not change your life. But if you choose to apply it, even little by little, even with difficulty, even with fear, everything begins to align. Because real change does not happen all at once. It happens through consistency, through repetition, through daily choices. And maybe right now you are feeling something hard to explain. And maybe it is not just understanding, but awakening, a realization that you cannot continue the same way. And this moment is extremely important, because there are moments in life that define directions, moments where you must decide who you will become. And this may be one of those moments. So now I want to ask you a simple question, but one that can completely change your life. Will you continue giving your pearls without discernment? Or will you start positioning yourself with awareness? Because in the end, it is not about the dogs or the pigs. It is about you learning to recognize the value of what you carry. And when you understand that, you do not close yourself, you position yourself. You do not stop loving. You learn to love with wisdom. You do not stop trusting. You learn to trust with discernment. And that changes everything.